Hi folks, you're listening to the fourth episode of my yet to be named Fantasy Premier League podcasts. I'm the FPL General. You can find me on Twitter at FPL General. You get me on Facebook and Instagram as well, but spend most of my time on Twitter, so that's the best place to hit me up with all your FPL questions. This podcast, I'm going to look ahead to Gameweek 27. So I'm recording on Tuesday the 6th of February, so we're just after Gameweek 26. In this podcast, I'm going to start off, I'm going to look back on Gameweek 25 and 26 quickly, because I didn't have time to get a podcast out last week with the midweek fixtures and the quick turnaround between 25 and 26. So I'll touch on both game weeks very quickly at the start. I'll then go on to update my FPL watch list, which I do every week after I've watched all the games and highlights. I'll talk a little bit then about blank game weeks and double game weeks. So we're getting to the point of the season now where we need to start thinking ahead when we're making our transfers and thinking more long term. After that, I look at my possible transfers that I'm going to make for Game Week 27. I look also at the captaincy options, and I'll finish off by answering some questions that I got from Twitter today. So first of all, I'm going to look at Game Week 25 first of all. So the last time I recorded a pod, I was ranked at 9,700. So in the last 2 weeks I've had 2 green arrows, and I've jumped from 9,700 right up to 2,100 now. So it's been a very good 2 weeks. Very happy to be ranked 2k at this point of the season. Pretty sure I've never been this high at this point of the season before, so it's a very good platform to build on, and I've got my eyes set on a top 1k finish now. It should be well achievable from here, with chips remaining as well. So game week 25 was a big one, 80 points. It was a game week rank of 30,000. So the main reason for that was Nick Pope in goal with a penalty save. I mean, a goalkeeper got me 11 points without keeping a clean sheet. Pope just continues to perform miracles this season, and I was very close to getting rid of Pope for game week 25 for Pickford. So I'm very glad I didn't, because he got me 11 points in 25 and he got me another 5 points in game week 26. So I'm just going to hold him until Heaton comes back. And I may well end up just getting Heaton in for Pope, looking at Burnley's fixtures. So Burnley goalkeepers are just gold dust really when it comes to FPL over the last 2 seasons. I know I had a question on Twitter from Preyas Baji asking me if Pope was nailed for the rest of the season. He has been very good in Heaton's absence, but I don't think he'll keep his place once Heaton's fit. But at the same time, there's probably no rush for Sean Dyche to bring Heaton back in, because Pope's a very able deputy. So as I say, I'm just going to hold on to Pope now until he is dropped, and when that happens I may just bring in Tom Heaton then and just set and forget goalkeeper for the rest of the season. Back to game week 25. So Nick Pope got me 11. Another 2 players who got me big points in 25 was Kevin De Bruyne and Callum Wilson. So De Bruyne got 14 and Wilson got 12. Wilson got 12 against Chelsea, so that was a nice surprise, because I kind of got him in for the following fixtures. So those 2, De Bruyne and Wilson, both came in as part of a -4 for me the previous week. So things didn't work out. The hit didn't pay off immediately, but the week after then, De Bruyne and Wilson got me 26 points between them. So just an example there of, you don't judge your hits in one game week. So it was the following week for me where it paid off and paid me back. So those 2 were superb for me in game week 25 as well. Firmino got me 8 points, Sterling got me 10 points. So yeah, it was 80 points in 25, which was a healthy green arrow. So moving on then to the most recent game week 26, it was another good one. It was 58 points. It was a pretty low scoring game week. The average was 43, so I was very happy to come out of it with 58. The main reason was nailing the captaincy. So it was a captain Salah for the last 2 weeks. He got me 16 points in game week 25, and then he got me 30 points in game week 26. So that's been a big factor in my 2 green arrows. Salah's just been absolutely superb this season, and it's at the point now where I'm just sticking the captaincy on him and just leaving it on him. I've captained in the last 2 game weeks. I'll talk about captains a little bit later, but the armband's more than likely just going to stay with Salah for game week 27. So Salah got me 30, Shaqiri got me 8, and Pope got me 5. Apart from that, it was all 1s and 2s. I mean, it was the same for a lot of people in game week 26, but again, nailing the captaincy was the main one for me, and Shaqiri and Pope made a difference as well. It was frustrating in a sense that obviously Christensen's been cursed in recent weeks, and I got rid of him finally in game week 27, only to bring in Phil Jones. So just my luck this season. So it was Hazard first of all, then it was Christensen, and now I've brought in Jones, and he didn't play. And of course United got another clean sheet, so missed out on United's clean sheet points there. It was kind of a knock-on effect because my initial plans were to go Pope to De Gea, but then with Christensen getting injured, I went down the Jones route, so I missed out on De Gea's clean sheet by getting in Phil Jones. But I don't mind too much because Pope got me 5 points anyway, so it wasn't too bad in that sense. But obviously the Jones signing this week was very frustrating, but hopefully he'll go back in to the team for game week 27 against Newcastle and get a clean sheet. I'm actually hoping to get my hands on a ticket for Newcastle Man United, so hopefully I'll be able to go to the game and watch Phil Jones get a clean sheet for me live. So that's game week 26. So as I say, it was 58 points, and my rank now is 2,116. So I'm in a very good position. What I'll do now is I'll jump into my transfers and my watch list. So for anyone who hasn't been listening to the previous podcasts, my watch list is something I update every week. Once the game week's completed, I go through each of the 20 teams, and I add players to my watch list who I think have a chance of being added to my team soon, and I get rid of players from my watch list as well who I'm no longer interested in, whether it be for injury reasons or players who have just lost form or things like that. So just going to mention 4 or 5 players that I've added, and then I'll mention 4 or 5 that I've removed recently. So first of all, it's the Arsenal trio. So Arsenal beat Everton 5-1, absolutely demolished Everton, and big performances from Ramsey. Ramsey got a hat-trick, Mkhitaryan got a hat-trick of assists, and Aubameyang scored his first goal as well in his first start. So I've added those 3 to my FPL watch list this week. Now, Arsenal have 2 tough fixtures. They've got Spurs and Man City next, so it's probably game week 29 when I'm going to be looking at bringing in an Arsenal player. I know that's probably the same for most people are probably going to hold off with the tougher fixtures upcoming, but I mean the midfielders in particular, Ramsey's only 7 million and Mkhitaryan 7.8, so you're getting superb value for players playing in top teams. And another thing about Arsenal is they've got really good fixtures from game week 29 onwards. They've got a really good run right up to the end of the season, and they don't have Champions League to worry about as well, whereas other teams do. Obviously they're playing Europa League, but I don't really see Wenger having too much interest in that, and we're probably going to see fringe players playing in that competition more so there may not be as much rotation from Arsenal as there will be with the likes of City and Chelsea and Man United. So that's another positive reason to look at Arsenal players in game week 29. I had a couple of questions on Twitter in particular about Ramsey and Mkhitaryan. So I had one from Remy Solem. He was saying, would you go for Ramsey or Mkhitaryan, or would you wait for game week 29? So first of all, yes, I would wait until game week 29 before bringing in an Arsenal player. And back to his question about Ramsey or Mkhitaryan. So I'm going to give them the next 2 games and just keep a close eye on them. So obviously they both passed their audition with flying colours against Everton, but I'm interested to see how they do against tougher opposition. If I had to make the decision for game week 27, and for managers who are maybe going to go for one of them, even though they've got the tough fixtures, I think I'd be forking out the extra cash for Mkhitaryan. I just think there's more chance of him being delivering consistently between now and the end of the season. Ramsey, we know in the past has been very good, and even in the early part of this season he was delivering, but I would just fork the extra 0.8 for Mkhitaryan. I think you're probably safer going that way. That's not to say Ramsey won't go and outscore him now between now and the end of the season, but I'm a big fan of Mkhitaryan, and I was quite sad to see him leaving Man U as a Man U fan, and he didn't really get to express himself under Mourinho and Mourinho's system, and I can see him just flourishing for Arsenal, and the way Arsenal play, he'll be given the freedom to just go and express himself. And we've seen what he did in Dortmund. His stats are superb, goals and assists. So Mkhitaryan is definitely one I've got my eyes on in game week 29, and he'd probably be someone I would just bring in game week 29 and just more than likely keep him for the rest of the season then, because Arsenal's fixtures are so good. Aubameyang, obviously he's a bit more expensive, 10.5 million. I'm not really looking to change my strikers at the moment. I've got Kane, Firmino and Wilson. I'm quite happy to roll with those three for the time being at least, but Aubameyang is someone I'm going to keep an eye on over the coming weeks, because again, going back to his Dortmund days, he's got a superb goals to game ratio, and he should score plenty of goals for Arsenal between now and the end of the season. He's probably a bit of a differential for some people now, especially for those who are chasing. If you're trying to make up rank, getting Aubameyang in early, even with the tough fixtures, could prove to be fruitful. So that's the 3 Arsenal players I've added to my watch list. I'm going to mention another 3 players. The first one is James Ward-Prowse at Southampton. Now, he's a player I've never really been a big fan of in fantasy, because he's never really nailed down a starting place at Southampton, and he's never really been very consistent either, but he has started the last 4 games. He's played 90 minutes, I'm pretty sure, in the last 4, so he seems to be pretty nailed on, and his performances it's going to make him hard to drop. He's got 3 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games, takes all the set pieces, and he's as good a set piece taker as anyone. So Southampton have got Liverpool in game week 27, but after that they've got a nice run of fixtures as well, and I've seen signs of improvement from Southampton in recent weeks as well, so I would have no problem getting in one of their players. I probably wouldn't double up on Southampton, but I would have no problem getting one of them in. So at 5.1 million, I think Ward-Prowse is definitely one to consider, and definitely one to keep an eye on. Another player I've added to the watch list is his teammate, defender Jack Stevens. 4.5 million, I think he is. So he scored 3 goals in his last 3 games, if you include the FA Cup game. And going back a game further, so 4 games ago, I think it was 1-1 against Spurs, and I watched that game, and he was inches away from scoring in that game as well, so he could easily be sitting on 4 goals in his last 4 games for a central defender. So I mean, that's what you're looking for in fantasy. You want someone who can score goals, and I think Jack Stevens is as good as anyone in the league when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net as a centre half. So he's definitely one I'm keeping an eye on as well. And as I say, once Southampton have Liverpool out of the way this weekend, they've got a run of about 5 games where they could pick up a few clean sheets as well. So a couple of clean sheets, if you can get another goal or 2, he could bring in a lot of points over the coming week. So he's one to consider as well. I've got a lot of defenders around 4.5 million that I want to probably get rid of soon, the likes of Kenny, Ogbonna, and possibly even Dunk as well. So Jack Stevens, I think, is a very good replacement if when it comes to moving one of those guys on. Another one as well I'm going to throw in is Fernandes at Swansea. I think he's 4.4 million. Mawson is the defender I'd like to have from Swansea, but he's more expensive. He's 5 million, so I don't really like spending that on a defender from a team like Swansea who don't keep very many clean sheets. So Fernandes at 4.4 is a good alternative. I think he's got a goal and assist in his last 3 games as well, so he does have an attacking threat there as well. The last player I'll mention is a player I watched last night, and he was absolutely unplayable against Chelsea. So it's Deulofeu. They've signed him on loan recently, and he was unbelievable last night. Chelsea couldn't deal with him at all. He got himself a goal and an assist. He's priced at 6 million. Now we know from seasons gone by that Deulofeu has been inconsistent in fantasy, so we do need to be wary with him. But I mean, if you'd never seen him play before, and if you took away his fantasy record from the past and you just watched the Chelsea game last night, you would just want him straight in your team, because I mean he was creating chances, he was having shots at goal. He's just so difficult for defenders to deal with. He can win penalties as well. So at 6 million, he's a good price. I mean, I've got Shaqiri at 6 million, so I'm probably happy to keep Shaqiri for the time being. But for people who have Lingard, maybe, thankfully I didn't get on the Lingard bandwagon. I was close to getting on it, but thankfully I didn't. But I think Lingard's blanked in his last 4 games now, and he's been coming off early as well. So you don't really want that in your fantasy team. So an easy switch for people with Lingard would be to Deulofeu, because he's got 3 good fixtures. Deulofeu, he's got West Ham, Everton, West Brom in his next 3. I think then he's got 2 tougher fixtures. So if there's a time to get on Deulofeu, it's probably now. When he's not owned by very many managers, he's got the form and he's got the fixtures. So I'm probably unlikely to go there. But he is. I think just watch him last night. Forget about his past in fantasy and just give him a fresh start and just have a punt on him. And he'll be an enjoyable player to own, hopefully, over the coming weeks. So that's it for the watch list, for the positive side of things, for the players that I've added. I won't go into as much detail about the players I've removed from my watch list recently. I'll just name them out and give the reason why. So first one is Chilwell at Leicester. He didn't start in game week 26. Fuchs came back in at left back, which I always felt was a possibility anyway. So Chilwell is gone from my watch list, as is Sadio Mane. So Mane only played 64 minutes for Liverpool in game week 26. He hasn't been doing an awful lot recently. He's getting goals and assists here and there, but his all-round performances really watching Liverpool have been pretty poor, and probably reason why he's been taken off early at the weekend as well. So I'm not interested in Mane, mainly because I've got Firmino and Salah as well, and I'm not interested in trebling up at the moment. Mahrez is another one, for obvious reasons. He's gone from a watch list. He's not even training with Leicester, so it remains to be seen whether he's going to come back at all this season. So obviously he's gone. Charlie Adam is a player I was just keeping a little eye on because he was starting games since Paul Lambert took over, and he was only around 4.7 million. But he didn't start game week 26, so I'm no longer interested in Charlie Adam. Probably shouldn't have been interested in the first place anyway, to be honest. J. Rodriguez as well, no longer interested in him. He didn't start game week 26 because Daniel Sturridge is at West Brom now. So you've got Sturridge and Rondon there. So Rodriguez his game time is probably going to be limited now, which is a shame because he was going well, and West Brom are offering a little bit more now in attack under Pardew. They're not as negative like they were under Pulis. So that's a watch list covered for game week 27. I'm going to talk a little bit about the blank game weeks and double game weeks now, because it's something we really need to start thinking about. So the number one thing I'll say is, if you're not following him already on Twitter, at Ben Krellin, give him a follow. Check out his magnificent spreadsheet, which covers all aspects of blank game weeks, double game weeks for the rest of the season. When you open it up, first of all, it looks like a bit of a minefield, but it's worth taking a half an hour, 45 minutes, sit down, look through a spreadsheet and make sense of it, because just by giving yourself that half an hour to understand what's happening for the rest of the season, that can give you the edge over your mini league rivals, and it can win you the cash in your mini leagues or whatever it is. Just give yourself that edge, put in the time and effort, and you can reward yourself by doing so. So as it stands, the first blank game week is going to be game week 31. So we've got 4 game weeks between now and then. So we really need to, every transfer we make from now until then, we really need to keep game week 31 in mind. Now, I wouldn't say let it 100% determine your transfers, but keep it in mind. So at the moment, we only know four teams that are definitely going to play in game week 31. So it's going to be Liverpool against Watford, and it's going to be Stoke against Everton. So if you've got players from those 4 teams, makes sense to hold on to them. Obviously, obviously if you've got a player and he's not performing very well, maybe the likes of Choupo-Moting or something like that, don't keep him just because he's playing in Game Week 31, because I mean you've got the 4 game weeks between now and then where you could bring in a replacement that could easily score you 40 or 50 points, whereas if Choupo-Moting keeps going the way he's going, he's not going to get you many points, so it's not going to be worth keeping him just because he has a fixture in the blank game week. So again, keep blank game week 31 in mind, but don't let it determine completely your transfers. So the way it is, we know the 4 teams who are definitely going to play, but we're going to know a lot more soon as well about blank game week 31. So we've got game week 27 coming up this weekend, and then we've got a 2-week break before game week 28, and during that break we're going to have the FA Cup 5th round, so we're going to know more about the fixtures in blank game week 31 before the game week 28 deadline. So that's why it's a good game week this week to bank a transfer, because if you can manage to bank a transfer this week, then we've got the 2-week break, and when it comes to making your moves for game week 28, you're going to know more about which teams are going to play in 31, so you'll have 2 transfer to play with and a lot more information as well. So if there ever was a game week to bank your transfer, it's this one, and that's what I'm hoping to do, as long as there's no surprises, surprise injuries or news in the press conference this week. I'll be banking my transfer. So that's enough for blanks and doubles. Again, the main thing is follow Ben Crellin on Twitter, and he will look after all your worries. Looking ahead now to game week 27, transfers and captains. So I've already mentioned that my plan is to bank the transfer this week. Looking at my team, there's no major issues I need to address. Obviously I could improve my defence, because Kenny, yes, he played game week 26, but I would expect Coleman to come back in 27, so Kenny's going to lose his place again probably. Ogbonna has been an absolute nightmare. I mean, West Ham got 3 clean sheets when Moyes took over against the bigger sides, and then once we all got in their defenders and goalkeeper for the double game week, they haven't kept the clean sheet since. So I can't wait to get rid of Ogbonna. I hate looking at him in my team. So obviously that's a transfer I could make this week, but it's not what I need to make, because I'm just going to bench him this week and bank the transfer. I think that's much more valuable for me this week. Looking at my side for game week 27, Pope, Jones, Alonso, probably Dunk, and then midfield I've got De Bruyne, Salah, Sterling, Shaqiri, so everything's okay there. Then up front, Kane, Firmino, Wilson. So I'm well set up for 27 without making any transfers, so I'm just going to bank it. As I say, as long as there's no surprise injuries this week, or news in the press conferences. For example, if Sean Dyche came out this Friday and said that Heaton was going to come back in, then obviously that's unlikely to happen, but that would probably force me into a transfer. I'll just go Pope to Heaton then, because I don't want to go into the game week without a goalkeeper. I've got a yellow flag. I've got Alonso yellow flagged, so obviously he didn't play frustratingly on Monday night. Well, even if he did play, he probably would have got 0 points anyway. But he's been superb in recent weeks, and it was disappointing that he didn't start. So I got the joyous Ogbonna off the bench for Alonso in game week 26. So Alonso, Conte said it was a precaution why he didn't play on Monday. So hopefully he'll come back in for West Brom next Monday night. Obviously Chelsea have signed the new left back as well, Palmieri, so he's probably going to want to break into the team soon. Champions League's coming up, so I am slightly worried about Alonso's game time, but I'm not going to make any drastic moves with him. I'm hoping that he'll be okay for West Brom at least next Monday, but obviously he doesn't start in that one, then it's going to be alarm bells, and we're going to have to start considering maybe moving him on. But as I say, hopefully he comes back in against West Brom and gets back amongst the goals, assists and clean sheets for us. I mean, Chelsea have been in disarray recently. I kind of half expected Conte to leave this week, but it looks like he's going to stay. So let's see let's see if they improve next week. So transfer wise, as I say, I'm going to bank it, so I'm not going to look at any potential options to bring players in. Obviously, you can look at the players I've mentioned on the watch list. Delafeu in particular, I think, is an interesting one for Gameweek 27. As are the Arsenal players, if you're willing to back them in the big fixtures, but I'm going to wait. Captaincy then, I had a quick look. I had a couple of questions on Twitter about who should be captain for Gameweek 27. One of the questions was from my fellow Donegal man, Kieran McLaughlin, just asking me who should be captain. I've had a quick look at the Fantasy Football Scout captains poll for Gameweek 27. So as it stands, Salah is leading the poll with Aguero second, and then it's Kane, Hazard and Sanchez. So that makes up the top 5 in the poll so far. So when it comes to captaincy for me for Gameweek 27, it's pretty easy. It's going to be Salah again. No doubt about it, 100%. The armband's on him, it's going to stay on him. So the Liverpool are playing Southampton away, so Southampton haven't really been keeping any clean sheets, so I'd expect Salah to do something. I think he's got 21 goals now and 8 assists in 25 appearances, so 29 attacking returns in 25 games from a midfielder is just unbelievable. And it took me a long time to put the faith in him with the armband. The only time I captained him earlier in the season, he managed to miss the penalty. I can't remember who it was against now. I think he got an assist as well, so he only got around 4 points. So, but then for the past 2 weeks, I've captained him, and it's been great. So 16 points from him in game week 25, and then 30 points from him against Spurs. I mean, it was watching Liverpool Spurs. It was a joy to watch with Salah as captain, because it was such an amazing game, and then you had your fantasy captain doing the business as well. So it was very, very enjoyable. So again, Salah's going to be my captain for the 3rd week running. Obviously I don't have Aguero, so I don't have to make that decision. Now, if I had a lot of questions last week about whether to captain Salah or Aguero, and I tweeted to a lot of people saying that if I owned Aguero, I would have captained him against Burnley. So thankfully I didn't own him, because I would have captained him over Salah, and he would have blanked. So a bit of luck that went my way there. Again, I don't have Aguero this week, so the decision is pretty easy. I'm just going to leave it on Salah. For people maybe who don't have Salah, first of all, you need to get your head checked, and then second of all, if you don't have him, a couple of other options. So Kane is always a captaincy option. He's a top goal scorer in the league. He loves playing Arsenal. I think he's got 6 and 6, something like that, against Arsenal in the league. Spurs are at home, so Arsenal haven't been keeping many clean sheets either. So I would expect something from Kane against Arsenal as well, but I just feel Salah's a better option against Southampton. Hazard, it hurts me every time I mention his name. As people know who follow me on Twitter, the luck I've had with him this season, or lack of luck I've had with him. So he's playing West Brom. He has to be in with a shout for the captaincy as well if you own him. Personally, I wouldn't do it, not because I don't like him. It's just the fact that Chelsea I just don't really know what's going on with Chelsea, and I mean, they're just after getting beat 4-1 by Watford, so I wouldn't be overly confident giving the armband to a Chelsea player. Obviously Hazard on his day can get a hat-trick, but just off the back of the Watford result, I wouldn't be captaining a Chelsea player in Game Week 27. Sanchez then is playing Newcastle away, so if you've got him, he's probably not going to be captained by very many people, so it'll be a bit of a differential in that sense. So if you think Sanchez is going to go big against Newcastle and you've got him, why not give him the captaincy? But again, Salah against Sanchez, for me, there's no competition there really. Salah gets the armband all day. So that's captaincy covered, pretty straightforward. The last thing I'm going to do now before I wrap up the pod is I'm going to answer a few questions I got from Twitter. The first one is from FPL Kangaroo. He asked me, do I miss Diego Costa? So, I mean, anyone who followed me last season, it's a bit like Hazard this season. Last season I owned Diego Costa. I think I owned him at 4 different times last season. I'm pretty sure he scored 20 league goals, and I managed to miss every single goal he scored when he was in my team. So he was an absolute troll, and I was one of the happiest people in the world when I seen him finally signing for Atletico Madrid, and I no longer had to be trolled by him in FPL. So the answer is no, I don't miss Diego Costa, and I'm hoping that someone comes in and signs Hazard this summer as well, so that I don't have to look at his name next season, and they can take Christensen with them as well, because those three have been the bane of my life this season. Next question is from the Three Amigos podcast. They asked me, what is the best FPL podcast in the world? So, I mean, that's pretty easy. It's my podcast. I mean, what else am I supposed to say to a question like that? But no, the Three Amigos podcast. So it's a new podcast. It was previously the Fan Feud podcast, and I made my first guest appearance on the Fan Feud podcast last season. So I always have good time for the lads there, and it's a really good podcast as well, really good FPL podcast the three lads do there, and I'm pretty sure they're recording tonight as well, so make sure you keep an eye out for them this week as well and give them a listen. So I think you'll find them on Twitter. It's Three Amigos FPL, I'm pretty sure it is. Next question is from Mars, who is one of those Three Amigos, and he does some beautiful songs on the podcast as well, so be sure to check that out. Mars asked me, what is my honest, uncensored feeling about Eden Hazard? So again, just hearing his name just kills me. So I'm someone who I don't tend to use foul language on social media or in my podcasts either, but whenever Hazard trolls me, I tend to type out a tweet right away filled with swear words, and then I just take a deep breath and I just delete it, and then just be a bit more subtle about things. But I'm not gonna go into it, because if I start talking about him, I'll get very angry. But all I'll say is as much as a human being can despise another human being, that's how I feel towards Eden Hazard. And watching Chelsea Watford last night, Watford kicked them up and down the pitch the whole game. Every time he got the ball, he was kicked left, right and centre, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, I must say. I wish I was actually one of those Watford defenders, so I could have had a kick myself. So that's how I feel about him. Please don't ask me any more questions about him, because I just hate him. I've covered Preya's question about Nick Pope, so as I said, I'm probably going to hold on to Nick Pope until he is dropped for Heaton, if that happens, and I'll probably just move to Heaton then. Then I don't need to worry about my goalkeeper situation for the rest of the season. So I'm going to wrap things up. I like to try and keep these as short as possible. I don't like to ramble on too much. Try to keep the content, try to keep it at quality over quantity. Before I go, I want to thank my Twitter followers. So I reached 20,000 followers this week, which is just, I find it hard to believe, to be honest, because I set up the FPL Twitter account in May 2016, so it's not really all that long ago, just under 2 years ago. I set it up mainly to just interact with other FPL managers, because I'd always use Twitter anyway, just kind of to check the injury news, Ben Dinnery's timeline and things like that. So I just set up the Twitter page mainly just to interact with fellow managers, and it just exploded very quickly. And all of a sudden I'm at 20,000 followers, which to me it just seems crazy. But I just want to thank each and every one of you for the support over the last probably about 19-20 months now. I've been part of the FPL community, so thanks for welcoming me first of all, and just it's been a pleasure. It's brought my enjoyment of FPL to a new level, and being part of the community, and I love watching I love sticking in my headphones on 3 o'clock on a Saturday and listening to BBC 5 Live to the games, but then following the FPL community on Twitter, the live reactions of people. It's great entertainment for 2 hours. So yeah, I just want to say a thank you for that. I do plan to do a Twitter giveaway this week. I'm in discussions with somebody about that, so there'll be more information about that hopefully in the coming days. Another thing I will say as well is, some of you'll know I run a pretty exclusive mini league called Elite 64. So this is a league I set up at the start of this season, where I invited the best FPL managers in the world, 64 of them, to a mini league, so that the best managers in the world could compete against each other in one place. So I got a pretty impressive lineup in the first season of it, and the plan is to run it every season from now on. So the way it works is there's 64 managers in the league at the moment. The managers who finish in the top 50 will be invited back next season. The managers who finish on the second page of the league, which is the bottom 14 managers, they may not be invited back next season, which is going to free up space for me to invite new managers to the league. So it's based on your FPL history. So I'm looking for people who have an exceptional FPL record over the last couple of seasons. I'll be on the lookout for new entrants. Probably once the season's over, I'll spend a couple of weeks looking for new entrants and inviting people to it. So keep an eye out for that as well. But there is a way you can gain entry to the Elite 64 without having a good FPL history. That's by winning my free to enter mini league. So it's called Beat the General, and the code, you'll find the code on my Twitter account in my cover photo, but I'll call it out here as well. It's 244947662. So I'm going to close entry to that mini league in game week 30, because I don't want to have a scenario where I have someone just entering the league in game week 37, 38 and winning it, and then getting a place in Elite 64 next season. So get yourself into my mini league before game week 30, and if you win it, you can get a place in Elite 64 next season, where you can pit your wits against the best FPL managers out there. Couple of more things before I finish. I mentioned at the start of the podcast is yet to be named. So I put out a tweet last week looking for suggestions for a name for this podcast. So I mean, obviously I'm the FPL General and it's a Fantasy Premier League podcast. So if you have any ideas for a witty name for this podcast, send them to me send them to me anywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or leave a comment on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you're listening. I'll look at looking at my 4 favourite suggestions next week, or maybe even at the end of this week, and maybe put them to a poll then and pick a name for the podcast. So you could be the person who comes up with a name for my fantasy podcast. All I'm left to say is now, enjoy the rest of your week. Be patient. As I said, I can't stress enough that if there ever was a week to save your transfer, do it this week if you can. If you've got no major issues, if you can feel a strong lineup in game week 27, bank your transfer, and you'll be glad you did then when game week 28 rolls around, which is about 3 weeks away, because we'll know a lot more then about the blanks and double game weeks, and you'll be in a much better position then to make long-term decisions for the rest of the season. So if you enjoyed, send me any feedback you have as well about the podcast. I mean, this is all new to me. It's only episode 4. Anything, let me know what you like about it, what you don't like about it, anything you'd like me to add. Subscribe, like, share, retweet, do all that, all that good stuff. Leave me a review on iTunes if you can as well. Give it a like on YouTube, SoundCloud, wherever you are. As I say, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk to you all again after game week 27. Cheerio.